Hello and welcome. So today they released the beta for the combat rework, and first it took me like an hour before I could actually play the beta because it wouldn't let me load my save file. So for like about 40, 50 minutes, I was playing as a level 3 and I couldn't get out of Bertham. I couldn't even home teleport. I was stuck. It wouldn't let me out until I finished the troll war zone thingy, and then I just gave up, came back in a bit, and then it worked. So when you start out in Lumbridge once you load your save file. There's a bunch of shops, everything's free. They also have a Demon Hunt shop where the chaotics are free, but then the arcane stream isn't. So first thing I did was just mess around with PvP. I did some wilderness PKing, I did some one-on-ones, and it's very different. It seems that most of your life point boost is in your armor. Also, it seems when you eat something, like edible food, like when I eat a rocktail, it brings down my adrenaline bar. But if I drink like a potion, it does not. Also, during the fight, I was able to attack the person's unicorn. So I was thinking maybe you're able to attack people's familiar. But does that mean you can also have familiars attack the player? So if that's true, then that means you can bring like a steel titan to Edgeville. And if that's how it's gonna be, if that's what they're going for, is somebody gonna be like overpowered? Because in the Crucible, you have a lot of people with steel titan, and all they do is spec with the scrolls, summoning pots, and then they just that's added on with their normal damage. So that makes summoning very useful, especially when you get to the Titans or Kayak. Kayaks, the scrolls are expensive, but they hit like 3 hits, and they use maybe 3 summoning points, which is very little. So then I tried going Corp, and I thought since it's a beta, maybe a Zamrak Spear isn't the best weapon for Corp. So I brought a Chaotic Maul, Torva. They have Torva gloves and boots. I got Turmo, Soul Split. I also noticed that Overload doesn't seem to hit you, but it only boosts you up to 116 stats. Maybe they did this out of convenience so you don't have to eat the 500 life points. And Rocktail seems to heal a lot more than Brews. It's like a 1800 heal. I didn't actually drink a brew, but while I was in the call with other people, they were saying that brews were not being as effective. Also, getting Bandus KC, the goblins, the level 5 goblins seem to be extremely high. So for this kill at Corp, it was doing actually fairly well, although this is just the beta. The Corp was tanking me several times during the fight. Although this is like a first day footage where people don't really know what they're doing. Like what I was doing, I was just spamming all the abilities I can when they're refreshed so that I would get as much damage out on Corp as I could. And I saw that the more abilities you use, your adrenaline bar goes up faster per abilities you are using. So the faster you get your ult, the more damage output you can do. So I was going to use the ultimate that is under attack. It only works if the opponent is above half HP. And if successful, it'll deal 40% of their max life points, which is very good. That means, of course, they will have a damage cap. Like Corp with Ruby Bolts, it has a cap of like 1,000 currently in the live game. So I thought, hey, if the damage cap isn't there, then awesome. If it is there, it would be good to know how much it is. But with so many people attacking in the video, I couldn't find out what the number was. And the times when I did use my ultimate, I was probably praying magic, so I wouldn't be able to make an estimate on what I would have hit if I had Soul Split on, since it's still a 1 to 5 ratio for what you heal to what you hit. So for practically all this video, I was mostly focusing on the offensive. So I was doing like Chaotic Maul, Rapier with the offhand Rapier. And yeah, I was mostly focusing on offensive DPS. I wasn't thinking about the defensive because there's just so many people playing the game right now. So if you're doing like PVM, it's just Unicorn will do you fine. There was some good defensive abilities. There was one where it'll completely protect you for like 10 seconds, but it's the ultimate for the defense. Then there was one where it's for the constitution. It will turn your adrenaline into health points. There's also for the berserker, it's where it turns your adrenaline into attack damage. And that's I haven't really gotten through all of them since it's a long read, and I wanted to focus on what would be the best for certain PVM. So since adrenaline is supposed to reset if you change weapons, how would you go about killing tormented demons efficiently? Now you could have a steel titan, but then you still have to switch every now and then. So it seems they raised the tormented demon's max HP, and instead of just being like around 300 damage for it to switch prayers, it's a lot higher than that. Also, while I was here at Tormented Demons, I wanted to try out my special attack. I mean, not special attack, ultimate, where it deals a percentage of their max HP, which is good for PvM because they have a HP that is really high compared to like PvP where people don't have as high HP. But of course, it was capped. And it seems Tormented Demons have their damage capped at 5,000. 5,000 is a fairly okay number. It's not like where you're at next in the live game, where the max hit you can do on next is a 500 for a single hit. But with a chaotic maul, you can easily break that 500, but just because of damage cap, it doesn't let you, which makes the chaotic maul not the best and ruby bolt's the best. Which is something I hope they keep because I don't want the max damage you can do on a boss to be something low just because there is some weapon that deals a percentage of their HP, which makes it overpowered if there wasn't a cap. Currently, there's something wrong with Dungeoneering, where when you spawn, you might sometimes only have 990 HP out of whatever your life point boosting armor is, but I'm sure they will fix this before the actual launch. So they actually added some life point boosting effects to certain weapons. I don't think the Primal 2H got it, but then the Hex actually has like a 2.2k HP boost, which is a lot. I think it beats the Primal Plate. So far in the beta, the generic combat seems very slow. If this is how it's going to be in the actual release, the XP per hour would be pretty bad. Also, you are no longer able to choose between styles. Before you could do slash, crush, well, a 2H does not have a stab, but now you only use like slash or whichever is your best. Although I'm not sure how a primal spear would work, but they've taken away the ability to change style. So maybe now for Calgar, which is only like weak to crush, you might have to bind a crush whip. I'm not entirely sure on that. I haven't been able to get to Calgar yet, but this does make the engineering a little more difficult. Currently, I'm having problem adjusting to where the gatestone is. You are able to put it on your action bar, but that takes away from other stuff that you can have on it that could be combat related. And for Dungeoneering, one action bar is not enough. You need maybe one or two layered on top of each other, maybe three, because you just need too many stuff on the action bar. You need make a gatestone, home teleport. You need teleport to group gatestone, teleport to personal gatestone. Then you need all the attack abilities for melee. Then you need all the attack abilities for range and or mage, depending on what you have bound. Then you also need that healing ability, which changes. It's under Constitution. It changes your adrenaline bar, turns it into HP, which is very good for dungeoneering since you're limited to a specific amount of food depending on how many monsters you kill, what you got from the first table, and really, if you're not with friends, everybody is practically a food hog. Now it seems that dungeoneering has been changed around so that it follows the combat triangle more. Skeletal mages are more resilient to melee and just weaker to range, which is kind of weird. Hopefully, this is only something on later floors because when you start out, you only have one bind, and if you're doing C6 smalls by yourself, you really don't have like a range or mage switch. Also, Protection Prayer is no longer 100% effective against monsters. They are able to hit through your prayer. Not all the time, but they still do hit through your prayer. So this makes the previous 133 shades even more deadly than they are now. And the damage they do through your prayer isn't so overpowered that it would be a big problem. So this might actually be something we'll be seeing when the combat rework is completely released. So far, even though there is a lot of change, I actually really do like this update just because there is actually a lot of content coming along. Before previous updates, it's like maybe 7 hours of update worth, and then it gets repetitive. It's like fight killing. Once you figure out how to do it, it's not that hard. Then you just keep going over and over if you're doing it for money making methods or just doing it for fun for maybe a guide. So now this is continuous. The beta will be out for a while. We get to submit our bug report, so we get to change the game while we can still influence their decision on certain stuff. If there is a part of the game you don't like in the beta, you can tell them why you don't like it, why it is overpowered for whatever reason it may be, and this could influence their decision to change the game because this is how the game's going to be in a couple of months. So they're giving us the chance now to help influence how the game is going to be in a couple of months from now, as well as find bugs. So I wanted to do a next solo, but there is just too many people in so few worlds. So I might not be able to do that before the beta ends, but hopefully maybe like some night where almost nobody's on, or next thing maybe I could get one in. But that's all for this video. I hope you've enjoyed it. Thank you very much for watching and have a nice day.